Welcome back to the ASN Dad Chat. We're a podcast and community dedicated to making sure no ASN dad in Scotland has to walk this path alone.
Our goal is simple: real talk, real honesty, and sharing our own experiences to help you navigate the system. Whether you're in our meetup group already or just finding us now, you've got a seat at the table.
And just a reminder, we aren't experts, we're just dads, and this is just experiences and opinions, not medical advice and not legal advice. Now let's go on with the chat today.
Hello and welcome back to ASN Dad Chat. This is episode 8. I'm Andy and joined by Glyn.
Hello.
And for the first time we have Barry.
Hello.
So welcome to the podcast, Barry. It's good to have you for the first time in front of the microphone this time.
Yeah, good to be here.
As
Hopefully
opposed to
contribute to something rather than taking things out this week.
Yeah, definitely. Do you want to tell us a bit about yourself just before we get going?
Yeah, I am Barry. I do the kind of editing side of things on the podcast. Here, basically through my son Brody. He's 6 going on 7, and he got diagnosed with autism at the age of about 4. Yeah, we kind of spotted the early signs of them from about 18 months or so, and got referred through speech and language. Ended up with a kind of fast track diagnosis during COVID. I don't know if anybody else had the same sort of process, but they never actually saw him. It was just his case got presented, and that was essentially that.
Yes.
And we've been, living that life ever since.
I was first introduced to Barry at one of my resident haunts, the Airfield in East Kilbride. Never really spoke to each other, just kind of jumped past each other every now and again.
Too busy chasing
chasing kids.
The little people, yeah. It's been a good journey. It's been good to be involved in and to meet different people through it as well, with different struggles, similar struggles, and we're all kind of learning
Everything in between.
it.
Good to have you on board. Well, yeah, so this episode, what we're looking to focus on is holidays, travelling, any sort of tips that we can give. I've done some travelling myself with Ashton. I know you're the same, Barry, with Brody, and we're just looking to see if there's anything that we can do to make it a bit easier for any of our parents out there, because I know it's a stressful time for some people.
So I'm very limited with this because we haven't done a lot of, like, the very small amount of travelling we've done with Elijah has been just for like events. Like we've travelled down to Birmingham with Elijah once, but he was very, very young. He wasn't even, I don't even think he was a year old when we travelled. So it was very different than the idea of travelling with him now. And I think for myself, obviously, I don't know for anybody else, the idea of travelling with Elijah, which is bad as it is, it like gives him the idea of anxiety. Because I know he wants to be up and I know he wants to be active, and and Jade wants to be able to take him back to Birmingham, to my home, because I've got so many friends and family that have never met my boys. But the idea of going on a train to head down south, again, anxiety. So I do look forward to the idea of like hearing from what you guys say, and I hope that there might be something that I can take away from this today.
Yeah, I think the anxiety is like
isn't it?
Yeah.
No pressure.
Yeah, I think the anxiety is natural, and I'm still this every time we travel. I mean, the anxiety gets a little bit less, but I think with everything it is just that kind of planning. But I know that before the first time that we did any sort of travelling, so mainly kind of taking Ash on a plane, that I was worried about things like how we're going to get him to stay seated on the plane, how is it going to be when we're going through all the different queues through the airport. Ashton's got a very loud vocal stem where he screams kind of very frequently, so there was that worry that is he going to do that?
Everyone wants to hear on a plane.
Yeah, exactly. So it was almost kind of, that one was more for my anxiety, so it was definitely something that we had to build up to. But I think everyone has that worry. What about you, Barry? How were you feeling before going travelling with Brody?
I think, to be honest, I think I had the benefit of having a good, because you had Ashton away sort of not too long before that, so I kind of spoke to you a fair bit, and I think it's learning from other people's experiences and stuff like that, and just trying to try anything that would potentially cause you stress, just trying to get that out the way and trying to avoid the situations that would cause the stress for you or for the kids.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, and that's a big part of it for me, as well as accepting that there's going to be things that just aren't going to go to plan, and holding your hands up and kind of you can't control it, so just try and kind of roll the punches and But again, it depends on the kids themselves and what they're. We're quite fortunate that Brody, he loves planes like with a passion. So as long as I can find somewhere that he can see planes, that's at least a starting point somewhere for us to kind of base ourselves, and then that's sometimes easier said than done, but that's trying to identify places that you can be that'll keep everybody a bit calm, yourself and them, and speak to staff on site. Some are great, some are not so great.
Yeah, I think it's all about the planning, but there is definitely those worries. Obviously we touched on it there, Glyn, you're looking to ideally go back to Birmingham, so I mean what is your kind of biggest worries in terms of that?
I think for me, to begin with, when it was just Elijah, now it's Elijah and Noah, which is a whole different kettle of fish. I think one of them is I don't drive. Jay does the driving, so driving down, that kind of becomes a no-go straight away, because the amount of stuff that we'd have to take, and then the idea that she would potentially have to do like a 7-8 hour journey driving, essentially on her own, and then the idea of the boys being able to stay in the car that long. Elijah struggles sometimes when we were in the car for any time longer than an hour. We've gone to Monty's a couple of times, and that is quite a trek out from where we are in Glasgow to trying to get there. So definitely not as bad on the way there, but coming back, obviously when you've had a full day, that can be very overstimulating. And obviously just trying to keep him like steady in the car, that can be quite stressful. So I think it's a list of things. Obviously it's the case of, okay, so if we were going to go down, we would potentially have to take a train, which is fine. Obviously I think he'd be okay some kind of on the train, because the idea of a train I think would interest him. But again, it's as you say, trying to keep him in a seat, trying to keep him like confined into a space, and then as I say, the amount of things we'd have to travel with. Then when we got down there, we probably had to rent a car anyway, so it feels like we've lost what we'd be doing regardless if we just didn't drive down. And then obviously just making sure that we still had something for him to do when he got down there, and not just spending time with family and then having to find new ASN things that we could do for the kids in a different city. Obviously I haven't lived in Birmingham for quite some time, so there'd have to be so much research done beforehand. And I spoke about it before. I've said before that I feel like I'm holding out on the kids because they're not getting to go on holiday. Obviously, that's a fairly like family orientated thing. Like you work hard all year round to give yourself and your family a holiday, a break from the monotony of life as it is. But we're all a bunch of gingers. Like I can't. The idea of taking like 4 of us to a sunny like place. Yeah. I mean, I hate the sun the best of times in Scotland, and we don't get it that much. But can you imagine trying to do like 4 of us in Spain or something like that?
Yeah, so it's not even the travel that's the hardest part. It's once you're actually there, try to deal with that as well.
Yeah. That the anxiety, obviously, as I've said, of like travel as it was. Planes, I think, would be a struggle for Elijah. I think similar. He'd probably like the idea of being on a train, but the idea of trying to have to keep him seated, like when you're going up or you're going down, or if there's turbulence, or like the idea of, okay, how do I deal with these things like when they happen? So again, I do look forward to hearing how you guys have dealt with these, like from the beginning, from like going on a plane and then what you do when you go abroad. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, we've been abroad a few times with Ashton. It's definitely not always been kind of plain sailing. I mean, to start with, we flew. I flew a few times when Ashton was a baby, but I wouldn't really say that kind of counts in terms of the anxiety inducing was a bit different then. But in terms of when we kind of took him on his first holiday, where he was kind of aware what was going on, it was very, very difficult at the airport. I can remember we did get special assistance, so we managed to skip some of the queues and things. But I just remember at that point Ashton was having quite bad meltdowns. He was kind of frequently kind of head banging, whether that was off the walls, off the floor. So it was a very, very anxious experience as it was at that point before anything happened. But I remember when we got to the airport and we got to go through security, going through the metal detectors, we were told, no, we can keep Ashton, and he's kind of pram at this point, no problem sort of thing. And then we got to security and they were like, no, he has to come out his pram, and we were adamant. We were like, no, if this can't happen, if he comes out this pram, it's not going to end well, because he will be very upset. Even the fact that we had to take his tablet off him to get to go through security was hugely problematic at that point as well. But they did insist again, no, he has to come out the pram, which resulted in him lying on the floor, just banging his head off the floor, with Cheryl and I just getting kind of very upset with it, trying to struggle to get him back into the pram. And you're thinking, oh, this is great, kind of welcome to the start of your holiday. But it's very difficult. And even I remember at that point again, even boarding the flight, so you're just up there just waiting to go on the board. So it's before you're even on the flight, you've got a lot of waiting to do. I know for us, we elected to board the plane first, so that when Ashton was going through, there wasn't a lot of people there, we could get him to his seat and go from there. But it was very, very difficult the first time that we did it. It definitely did get better through kind of more planning and using different services. But one of the kind of biggest recommendations I would say is just, again, kind of trust your own instinct. You know best. If for us, I say, if you don't want your child to come out the pram, just make sure that it doesn't happen. It doesn't have to happen, as we know now. But anything that you can do that's going to kind of keep your child calm, anything like that at all, just make sure that you speak to the airport about it, because the special assistance services I've found have been generally good. I mean, what about you, Barry? Was your first time? Was there any sort of problems?
Similar story. No, we were quite fortunate the first time. It was quite a humorous check-in. So I had we'd put all the information down that you can on the booking and things like that, and then we get to the check-in desk, and we're obviously all checked in, luggage is all checked, passports are all across, and the woman behind the desk's like, so is it your son, is he autistic? And I was like, yeah, he is. And is that on the notes? And she was like, oh, no. Like, that's a brave thing to be guessing. But as it turned out, he had Lego jewellery in his mouth, and she was like, oh, my granddaughter uses them, and blah blah. And she'd basically given his advice, like, go straight to special assistants. They'll kind of sort you out, give you all the information that you need, which was as much as it was risky by her, it was brilliant. Yeah. So yeah, the kind of cues really set him off. So that, like, the lanyard, God bless it, helps us a lot. Mm-hmm. We tend to, not so much now because he's probably a wee bit too big for it, but we always had the kind of trunkie there, and he would just sit on the trunkie, and
yeah,
I pretty much, me and him disappear in airports. We'll just go wandering, and I'll drag him about and have a laugh. And my wife's a bit more of a kind of nervous flyer, so I just kind of leave her in, but usually with other people kind of thing, leave them to it. But just trying to kind of stay as calm as possible. Again, like kind of said before, it's so much easier said than done. But yeah, and the queue jump side of things is good, but it's some of the looks you get are kind of people that don't quite like.
Yeah.
Are you going in front? And I'm like, right, you know, what do you do? Just go and be autistic for the man, and
yeah,
and show him why we're getting to the front.
And I don't know if,
or I can put him in the queue and watch him go.
I don't know if it's the same with you as well. So Ashton wouldn't wear a lanyard, so one of us would have to wear it, sort of thing. So you get the looks kind of like, why are you wearing that lanyard?
100%. But it's trying to find. It's obviously there's certain restrictions in the airport. You know, when we went away recently, we were trying to get again a good view of the planes, but it was all check-in desks. And like, I know this gate's shut, not check-in desk, sorry, departure gates. So the gates are shut, so no, you can't come in here. And I'm like, is this a procedural thing? Is this a security thing? Or is this just you being awkward type of thing? So it's trying to kind of advocate for them sternly without kind of winding people up and stuff like that. But that's interesting about the buggy situation as well. I didn't realise that there's. So I thought kind of security trumps everything on that, I suppose.
No, so what we found kind of now, so kind of to kind of revisit it now, like in terms of the planning part, so what we've done more recently is we've got in contact with the kind of specialist services, the special assistants at the airports, and we've been able to go for tours a few weeks before we're supposed to fly. So usually it'd be like a first thing on a Sunday morning where the airport's very quiet. What they'll do is they'll walk you through the full process. You'll go through security. You'll get scanned through the same way you would. They'll take you to one of the departure gates and show you this is exactly what will happen here. Here's what's going to happen. They'll ask you about when your flight is, so they can try and tell you, okay, it's going to be quite busy at this point. Here's where you can go. Here's all the different facilities, the places that can help you. So in terms of the special assistants, they were absolutely brilliant, and that's been Glasgow Airport, Edinburgh Airport, Prestwick Airport. They've been absolutely brilliant in terms of that. But I think it is, you just need to make sure that you just say exactly what your child needs, and they'll try to help you as best you can. And we did explain this to them after the kind of nightmare of the first trip. We explained what it was, and ever since then we've never had to take them out the pram. I mean, we always have to empty everything out of it, sort of thing, 'cause there's nothing there, and what they'll do is they usually just swab them. And what we've learned now after that first flight is we'll always have kind of 2 phones or 2 tablets, so that we'll put one through first, one of us will go through, and then literally as soon as Ashton goes through, there's another one waiting for him. Yeah. And it's just things like that you just learn in terms of like, or whether it's having specific snacks, or so for example, when we did the tour, what we were trying to do is we bought him some crisps. We knew where the shop was, so that he could then relate to that, being like, okay, once I go through here, I'll get crisps at the shop. Yeah. There's just wee things like that we found were kind of beneficial. I mean, the tours themselves are brilliant, and the fact that usually it's the same person that you would see on the day as well. So it's just great to be able to know that they're going to actually help you through there. And I would definitely say that the kind of whole experience for Ashton in terms of departure airports has been much better the last few times that we've went, and I guess again that's across the 3 different airports.
Yeah. I didn't have we one of the times we flew out of Newcastle, but I didn't find it as good as the Scottish airports at all, because we've flown at Glasgow and Prestwick before, and they were both excellent, but Newcastle just seemed a wee bit less kind of geared up
inclusive of that,
for it. Yeah, not necessarily inclusive, but just again, a lot of times it can be individuals.
It can be one person.
That's something I always kind of try and do as well. If someone does kind of offer like a bit of understanding and improves that experience or helps you avoid what could have been a really difficult situation, like I think it's really important to kind of highlight that to necessary people kind of thing, and on the flip side tell them if there's things that they can do better, because a lot of time they're learning.
Yeah, it's a lack of awareness half the time that they're not trying to be difficult for you. They're a lot of the time they're doing their job, but I think that's why it's so important. You just need to make sure you're vocal, because even if they are special assistants, as everyone knows, all of our kids are completely different, sort of thing. What could set one off could be what one other one demands, sort of thing. So I think you just need to make sure you're clear in exactly what you need, and they'll be happy to help you. So yeah, I would just definitely. On the airport website, you'll see links for special assistants. You can email them, say exactly what you need, what you're looking to do, and they can help you. And
that's what they're there for as well. Don't worry about being fussy or being difficult. It's literally what they're there to do.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Did you stick with the last man on the plane thing, or did you switch it up?
So I remember that. So we've always, no matter what, when we're boarding, we'll always go on first.
Right.
Always.
We're the opposite. We're absolute last.
Oh really?
Yeah.
See, we just go in because it's that way of, if we go on the flight and everyone's on there, Ashton would probably just get so distracted it'd be difficult to even get him to the seat. And more the fact that I hate kind of boarding the plane when people are on it as well, because everyone's standing in the aisle and everything, half the people are getting luggage. I think one of the main ones for us is we usually have quite a few bags, so that's another thing to touch on. The first time that we travelled, we had so many bags, so many carry-on, because it was all the different things we needed for Ashton, but then you're struggling to carry all that. I had to carry Ashton in my arms as well. Because we had the pram, you can get a huge pram bag to essentially carry that to the right up to the plane door as well. So you've got all these things. So it also means that if you board the plane first, we always wanted to make sure that we've got Ashton's bags right above us, whereas if you board last, then there's going to be no space there for anything to go on. But yeah, I think first to board, but then you always usually have to, if you're wanting the special assistance, you usually have to get off the flight last. So we don't usually tend to take it getting off the flight. We usually just get off when we can, and then once you're in the other airport, there's usually someone that, again, if you've signed up, I usually sign up in terms of the arrival airport as well, whether that's been kind of like Malta, Spain, and we've been able to kind of meet up with someone there to try and help us through kind of passport control, that sort of stuff. I remember the one time that we did use the special assistants to kind of get off the plane, we ended up having to wait so much longer, to then be given, it was like a lift to get down the stairs instead. So it was just everyone in wheelchairs, plus kind of, as with Ashton's going insane because we couldn't go off the flight yet. So, but it's all kind of learning points. Like, there'll be certain services you don't need, certain services you do. Again, it's just whatever's right for your child.
Yeah, we tend to we definitely go last, but
is that for choice? Is that just because you're always late?
Both, to be honest with you. Yeah, it suits me. Like, I'm that used to going on. I'm that used to going on to planes dead last anyway. But it must look hilarious because any bags that we've got, Katie tends to go on with all the bags, and I'll maybe have a couple of wee bits and bobs kind of thing because I've got the buggy as well. So I've got if he's in the buggy or the trunky or whatever it might be. But it must look hilarious that, you know, she struggles on with all the bags and gets the bags above the seat, and then I just swan on about 60 seconds before takeoff
with a sunflower lanyard on.
With a sunflower lanyard on, yeah. That's when I really need to have it. Like, I'm not actually a terrible person. There's a reason behind this. I'm not leaving everything to the wife, you know.
Yeah.
So in terms of the flights, then, obviously the actual flight itself, how have you found that the kids have dealt with this?
He's been more often than not great. It's always been kind of 2-3 hour flights, something like that. It's never been sort of long haul or anything like that, because he would get bored. But just having as much as you can in the way of distractions, new toys a lot of the time as well, just sort of things that you know he'll like. Yeah. But having that kind of first experience with them, and just things that you know are going to take up his time essentially. We always have him sitting in the middle as well, just purely from a kind of, it takes the distraction out of the way. I think if he was sitting in the aisle, he'd be looking up and down the aisle, and he would see something and want to go up and down and run about and everything else. So try to do those kind of things, and just snacks, plenty of snacks, plenty of distractions, and that's just for me, to be honest. But yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I remember one of the first times on the flight with him, when he was a bit older. At one point he was kind of like, I want to go for he wanted to kind of go up to the back of the plane sort of thing. We're kind of, oh, that's fine, let's just kind of see, keep on cam sort of thing. And then he gets up to the back and he goes, off. And I'm like, no. I'm like, Cheryl, quick, get him back to his seat.
Oh no.
And so it is that way of, and I think one of the difficult things on a flight, which is very, very difficult, and as I say, that Ashton is kind of 90% toilet trained, but it has been most of the times in the flight, just for kind of his ease, and overall that he'll wear like a pull-up. Yeah. But at that point it is so difficult to try and change someone in those toilets. You can barely stand yourself.
I'm genuinely, how did you manage it?
And then the fact as well that I was worried about flushing the toilet when Ashton was in there because of how loud it is. Yeah, it's like a jet engine firing out of it. But again, it's these things that you just kind of get used to, because he's obviously too big now for us to pull down the tiny little table above the toilet and lie him up there. So yeah, it is a very tight squeeze. But in terms of the flight itself, for Ashton, it's been, again, like Barry said, lots of snacks, lots of toys. I remember at first it was like, let's bring all his favourite toys, but then eventually you learn, like, okay, the smallest wee toys probably aren't the best. As soon as they fall off or anything he wants to try and build up on one of these kind of wobbly airport or airplane tables, is essentially just going to make him even more upset when they start to fall over or anything like that. So he usually has like the phone or the tablet, he'll have his headphones. Usually it will kind of keep the seatbelt on him, but sometimes he will like to kind of move about. He will go between the window seat or the middle seat. And the first few flights we had him on, he would sleep on the flights, which was obviously brilliant. But more recently he's staying awake, so it has just been a case of snacks. I remember one of the times where Orlando Ashton was sitting on the floor with about 4 phones in front of him, just covered in snacks at that point, and we're like, right, okay, there's not long to go, we just need to give him everything that there is to just kind of keep going here. But the actual flight itself, it's not been easy, but I think the airport was definitely the more difficult thing. It is just trying to keep him occupied in the kind of longer flights that we've done, where it's kind of been like 4 or 5 hour flights.
Yeah, I think we'd one sort of same meltdown. I think again with the kind of Drix and Strax, we had the wee kind of sip, the wee bottles of juice with the kind of fold down straw thing. So we had one of them that we'd had from basically kind of just through the security gates. And we were trying to give him a juice at one point, but obviously like the air pressure changes, so like without realising it, so I'm like, this straw is really like it's stuck, I don't know what's going on. Managed to flick it up and it just spat juice like everywhere. I was drenched, Brody was drenched, Katie was drenched, the woman in front of us was drenched, and it was just kind of one of those situations, just like try and just make a joke of it, and because he was like completely nonplussed. Katie was raging at me more so for the woman in front of us. She was just a bit like, what are you doing? So it's the inevitable wee things are kind of going to happen. Does he ever kind of wander up and down aisles or anything like that? Does he ever? No,
that's what I'm saying. Like, we did let him do it the first time, and that's when he was kind of like off. I mean, I think it's that way. I mean, right now at this period of time, 100% I would not let him do it, because he would try and pickpocket everyone on the flight and try to take every phone that he could find. So that would, I mean, in terms of anxiety, I mean, I'd be trying to get off the flight at that point.
That's what everybody wants to hear on a plane. Off. But how do you find kind of other people's kind of responding to
well, I was going to say, I think it really depends who you're, like, if you're next to people that you can talk to or that, or sometimes what we'll do is, if we're going on like holidays, sometimes we'll get Cheryl's family to fly with us as well, and we'll make sure that they're strategically positioned in front and behind Ashton sort of thing, so they can take the brunt of any kicks or hits or anything like that, which makes it a lot easier. I don't think we've had many other kind of passengers saying, I can't 100%. I'm sure one of the first flights we were on, but it was more when he was a baby. The kind of usual tuts when there's a baby on board. But I can't remember anything else other than that. What about you guys?
I'm just kind of asking because it's obviously like any other social environment, just condensed. Like everybody, there's no getting away from sort of individuals type of thing. But I've never really noticed anything, to be honest. Like I say, I noticed the people in the queues looking a bit miffed that we were sort of scooting on in front of them, but. I think it's one of those people are generally kind of keep themselves to themselves, but you hear a lot of sat in front of a baby on a flight or whatever. But
have you seen that? Is it one of the Japanese airline that they actually highlight on their flights now where there's a baby, so that when you're back picking your seat, you can choose not to go near them? And I seen it was quite a thing that someone had put online. I can't remember if I seen it, but it was a deaf person had basically said, like, these are I just sit right behind that baby, no one goes near us, it's perfect, it's silence,
nobody's kicking my chair, it's fantastic. 100%. I tend to end up, anytime we've been away with Katie's family, so I've always sat in front of him, and he's always been sat between Katie's mum and her, so it's been quite good to. It was one of them. We got him the busy book things. Was like it was kind of like a busy book, but like we kind of Velcro cards that you sort of stick on. So we got him that for the, like I was saying, sort of trying to get new toys and things that we know he'd be into. So we hadn't even unwrapped it, and the wee sticky bits weren't even on the cards yet. So I had to sit for like half an hour putting this toy together. It looked like it was for me, but anyway.
Sitting with your Sunflower Lanyard and your busy book.
That's it, aye. And my sippy cup.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously the only other thing is when you actually get abroad.
To be honest, when we're abroad, the general kind of approach for us is stuff that we try and do anyway. Sort of thing, trying to kind of manage, like our approach to whether it's going out for dinner or, whatever we're doing during the day. Just trying to pick stuff that's, for him rather than things that we would have done on holiday when he wasn't on the scene. I think going out for food is definitely the most difficult part of it, because he's quite restricted in what he eats, and he's restricted in how long he wants to sit still for. So, well,
that's like when we go on holiday now, we also choose our locations based on how close the nearest McDonald's is.
Me too.
Just because, like, you'll know yourself, you go abroad, and I think obviously with autistic kids especially, they can tell if something's different. And I think especially if you go to a lot of the European countries, the chicken can be a bit more grey and it just looks a bit different, so straight away it's a no-go. So we'll always make sure that we've got the full back of the McDonald's. We'll also bring a lot of his safe foods in the house, whether it's like things like curry powder to make him curry that he loves, or lots of different things. We'll just have big kind of bags of different foods that we could have brought from the UK for him, so that we've got it. I mean, there is certain things that he'll eat, but we always just want to make sure that we've kind of got that as a backup for him.
We're the same with kind of boxes of cereal and things like that. That tends to be, we can always guarantee elite Weetabix or Cheerios or something like that, and at least it's one of those. At least if he's eating something, that's the main thing. Even if we're all sitting down at a nice steak dinner and he's having, you know, a variety box or whatever it might be.
How do you tend to find like the actual like where you're staying, like hotels wise and like places that you're going to deal with our kids?
The two of the holidays that we've been on, we've been fortunate enough that Katie's uncle has a kind of timeshare type thing. So it's been the same place we've been on two of the holidays that we've went to. So they kind of know their way about and they know the people there. So it's, I think we kind of benefited from their familiarity with them. And they knew there's like 2 or 3 different swimming pools at it, and they'd say like that one's the quietest, which was unfortunately indoor, so it was absolutely roasting. But that was kind of our daily thing, was going there, and you know, we never really kind of found too many problems with that. In fact, the second time we went back, he actually, it was like 18 months, 2 years later. So from the age of about 4 to about 6, and he was straight to the pool again, knew exactly where it was, type of thing, which was really good. So I think that familiarity is good, but that's not really something you get on a kind of standard holiday unless you're going to the same places year on year. But you know, about yourself,
So what we've done for our kind of family holidays recently is we've just went through like Airbnbs, so we've kind of researched to a T in terms of
That's good.
Again, what's nearby. So for example, one of the ones we stayed at went to Fort Ventura. We made sure that there was a pool in the garden. It was completely enclosed. There was no way for escape. It was astroturf that was all around the pool, so it means he could run about, he wasn't going to fall. It was all on one floor, so it just meant that Ashton could go in, could go out, sort of thing. There wasn't any sort of issues there. And the full thing for us is that Ashton's best when he has as much freedom as possible. If you start to put these restrictions on him, that's where he starts to kind of get a lot more tense and more likely for meltdown. So for us, it was making sure that we find a place that, I mean, yeah, it's in a good location for us, and there's good things there, but there's a lot of things it has to hit to make it kind of good enough for Ashton. And it is mainly, is there a pool, because he spends 90% of the time there, and essentially, is it secure that he isn't going to have to get watched 24/7 to jump a wall or something, sort of thing. So that's our main things, and I think that the fact that you can do that, it takes that anxiety off you, sort of thing. I know that if you go to a hotel or anything, you might get lucky and find one that's very good at that, but for us, we've just found that if we find these places that we can actually kind of switch off as much as possible, and Ashton kind of have as much freedom as possible. I mean, how have you found it, Glyn, in terms of even in the UK wise, like hotels or anything? Have you had to use anything like that much with Elijah?
We've never had to. That's one of the things. Obviously, I think what you're saying about the Airbnbs, that's definitely something that we'd look into as well. Like similar to yourself, Elijah does well when he's got his freedom.
Yeah.
But still would prefer to have that contained. So the idea that he could have his own pool, that we wouldn't have to worry about other kids, we wouldn't have to worry about other families, I think that'd be a key thing for us. I think if we ever were to do this, I think a hotel would be a no-go.
Yeah. We
would look at some sort of like private villa. And obviously the cost and effectiveness that comes with that as well is its own thing. But yeah, I think when you said about the Airbnb thing, I was like, oh yeah, that actually makes sense. Like, you wouldn't have to go through like looking at hotels. You wouldn't have to try and see, okay, what do these have for our kids? Like,
how busy are they going to be?
How busy is it going to be? Like, how early do I have to get downstairs for the towel at the pool? Like, but no, yeah, I think that's definitely something I would look at. We've thankfully never had to do hotels with Elijah. So the idea of the fact that he'd have to be stuck in one room, I don't know how long he'd last. Like, even in our house, obviously, like, he has his own room, so he's fine to he can go up and down the stairs. Like, he can spend as much time as he wants in the living room. He can spend as much time upstairs as he wants. But trying to confine him to one space for too long, I don't know how well he would cope, how we would cope. Especially as he got older. He does enjoy his own space. He does enjoy his own time. So yes, I think if that was something that we would look at as well. I think that would be similar to what we would do.
Yeah, and I think
we've had with any time we've been in a hotel as well as them sleeping in the same room and trying to get
Yeah.
them to go to sleep
yeah.
while you are still there and they're
Yeah.
still there, and trying to switch the lights off, have it pitch black and don't move for a while.
Exactly, and it's this way you're going on holiday, and I think that's one of the things for us with Airbnb is like you want to make it as calm and as accommodating as much for your kids, but at the same time it's also your holiday as well, so you don't want to spend the full time. I know that for a fact that there's been times that we'll go to hotels with Ashley, and there has been times it's been great, but a lot of the time my anxiety is a lot higher than it would be if it was our Airbnb. I know it's only us that are there, and I can kind of cater everything for Ashton. So, I think the kind of biggest bit of advice would be just kind of plan as much as you can. And
have you? So you're saying you've not done any kind of sort of staycations or anything?
No, we looked at going back to a place that me and Jay did for our mini moon after our wedding.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Piper Dam.
Yep.
Yeah, no,
We looked at maybe doing something like that now that obviously we've got the car and we could get out there ourselves.
Yeah.
But I think it's a case it would be the similar thing of there'd have to be something to do every day.
Yeah.
So you are still not you'd have to still make sure everything was still planned out as much as you can. Obviously, like you're saying, plan in advance and try and sort things out. And again, having to bring so much with us to try and make sure he was as comfortable as he could be.
Yeah.
I've never say never. Obviously, I do want to be able to give them the opportunity to be able to go out of Glasgow and see something that isn't the four walls of the house and but I think obviously listening to you guys and how you spoke about things, and obviously how some of the other dads and the community have spoke about stuff, it gives me the confidence that we can do these things. I think it'd just be a case of getting past my own fear.
Yeah.
Definitely. My mother-in-law's partner, he's always talked about he wanted to do like a family holiday. He, as I said before, he works to make sure he gets himself a holiday every year. But the type of things that was like when him and Jade have these conversations, she was like, "It's all well and good that you'd want to do that, but it wouldn't be as simple as us just booking a hotel and going down to somewhere and just being like, we're going to go there."
Yeah.
Like we would have to spend weeks, months, like looking at whatever we were going to do for this. Yeah. I think if we were going to do it, we'd probably start small. We'd have a look at caravans or like an Airbnb somewhere, as you said, like somewhere that we could still have a sort of staycation. We can have like, I think you'd do well in like somewhere rural, where you could still have a time where you could like run around and stuff like that, but still it'd be our own space. Yeah,
that's something that would the advice kind of I would give in that is I don't know if you would have done anything similar. They almost kind of doing a couple of wee sort of staycations for want of a better. Like we went to the kind of haven places a couple of times, and they're not the most glamorous of holidays, but if sometimes it's enough to get you a break, you know. I went there when I was younger and absolutely loved it. I'm throwing no shade at Haven whatsoever.
I know, I did them as well. I think the luxury of those things when we were kids is you could just pawn off your kids with like this poor 18-year-old that's just like doing like like holiday school work, but I don't think I could do that with Elijah.
We've never had that Brody like the kind of kids club thing or anything like that. But the last time we went, it was really good time of year. It was before he went to school, so it was we managed to get it sort of during a quiet time. And the caravan we had like a kind of terrace around it as well, so you could get out and run about, but it was still secured, so he wasn't going anywhere, but you still had that kind of freedom to run about. The swimming pool was there as well, which we were in there kind of every day and stuff like that, and we never did any of the standard kind of kids things in that scenario. Like the first time we went away, second time we went away, it was Centre Parks as well, which again, like, it's rural, it kind of ticks all those boxes. When we had kind of signed up for it was like a messy play class, and he hated it. He loves messy play usually, but just crammed full of, it was just too busy for him essentially. So we ended up, I think we've been twice now, and I don't think we've booked any other actual activities. It's more just
doing your own thing.
He likes to sit in the wee trailer thing in the bike, and I would cycle him around the park and stuff like that, which is it was easier when he was smaller and when I was smaller. But yeah, it's trying to find. I think there's like you say, a lot to kind of, you need to try and find where you would fit into these kind of, or where the kids would fit into these kind of holidays. And
I
stuff
remember
like
we
that.
did centre parks, and it used to be Cheryl would always take Ashton to these wee classes and clubs, and there was one on at centre parks. Like, do you want to go up and do it? And went up, and it was one of these ones where I think it was kind of just after COVID, and it was a case of, right, okay, like, so you need to make sure all the kids stay sitting down within this little hula hoop sort of thing. So I've spent the full time of trying to just hold Ashton in here. I've just like, it was horrific sort of thing. So yeah, I think club wise, I think a lot of them aren't really suitable. But yeah, we've actually went to one of these kind of ASN caravans as well, that you can hire out for the weekend, and it was great. It was that way of, if your kids are into like sensory toys or all these sort of things, it's just kind
Where
of
was that again?
all the rooms. I want to say Haggerston Castle,
Right. Okay.
but it could also be completely wrong.
Okay.
But it was that way where everything was kind of full of, like, all the rooms had like different lights and sensory toys everywhere, and it had the different tables with the shapes and everything. And again, you've got access to like swimming and stuff. So even things like that are obviously good just to try get away. And we did centre parks last year or maybe the year before. We took Ashton to Legoland, which was good. So we had managed to get tickets the first year for that through something called Merlin's Wand, I think it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Essentially, something that you can get as a carer for disabled children, that you basically get tickets to something, whether it could be SeaWorld. There's quite a few different things, and we decided
Like
let's
Alton Towers and stuff like
yeah,
that.
I think it is like that. So we decided let's try Legoland. So we drove down to Legoland, and the second time we went, because he absolutely loved it the first time, we stayed overnight the first time as well, actually, in the Legoland hotel, which for me was really cool, and there was lots of Lego stuff, but Ashton did not care about the Lego stuff at all. And it's one of these things where you're like, come on, you must love this. But in terms of the actual park itself, he absolutely loved it. But the travelling down, yeah, it is quite long, and again, it is that way of trying to keep them occupied, trying to keep them kind of busy. But the hotel that we stayed in the second time at Legoland, I think it was just a Hilton, and Ashton was absolutely brilliant. He was quite happy to go down to the swimming pool.
Yeah.
We went out for dinner to a place nearby. We found a huge park and everything. So I think it is that way of trying to make these places feel as much like home as possible, trying to find parks and trying to not just stay in the room the full time, because it can be tempting to just, oh, here's the tablet, here's the phone, but then again, you look at it and you're saying it's not really much of a holiday for anyone. So yeah, I've been travelling quite a few times with Ashton, so yeah, if anyone's got any questions or anything, then yeah, definitely feel free to send them in, and myself, Barry, or I'm sure the other dads will be happy to help.
Yeah, I think the other thing, just going kind of back to the staycation sort of side of things as well, like with the likes of Hackerston Castle, like you said, and I think we've been at Berwick and Centre Parks is in Penrith and stuff like that. We kind of approached it that if this is an absolute disaster, we're 2 hours away. It's not.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you can kind of, if it doesn't quite work,
You just go.
it's one of those things. It's a sort of failed experiment, and it gives you the chance to build up to taking them somewhere further afield, and it gives them the chance to kind of get used to it. So it's almost kind of sort of managing. Well, you always need to kind of manage your expectations when you're planning these things. It's also having that, like, forget it button there, that if it's not working out, or it's, you know, distressing them too much or whatever it might be. The other ththing I found quite beneficial when we were away is trying to maintain particularly sleep pattern. What do you do when kind of do you?
So yeah, in fact, that's one of the other big things. So I remember when we were first booking flights to go abroad, usually what we would do is let's try to get the first flight of the day, because you want to make the most of it and everything. But again, that was horrific for Ashton, so it just meant that he just woke up in a taxi at like 5 a.m, freaked out, and then from then on, the rest of the day, I'm pretty sure that was the time in the airport where everything just turned into a nightmare. So now it's a case of booking a flight that's kind of midday and everything, and then we're getting back from the airport, and it's one of these things where I feel like it's a very long day travelling, especially when going abroad, and there's nothing that feels better than when you actually arrive at the place and Ashton falls asleep and you can finally think like, that's it, our job is done.
The holiday begins.
Yes.
Can you travel with melatonin?
Yeah. So you can take medication. Do you mean given melatonin on the flight, or just
No, I
take it
mean
with
like
you?
in general, obviously, because it's a liquid. Like,
Yeah. So you're. I think you can take. I think it's up to 100 mils you can take. So I don't know how big the bottles are, but I think if you say it's medication, if you say it's medication, you can get a letter from the doctor to say that you can travel with it anyway.
Right, yeah.
If you're flying, you can put that. I think you can put liquids in your
carry-on or put it in checked-in luggage as well. So
That'd be an absolute nightmare if it exploded in your suitcase.
Oh,
yeah.
Imagine.
just smell this.
Chloroform, just wrap it
inhale
around
my
your head.
I know.
Yeah.
Speaking of liquids, I remember one of the things that we did when we were travelling, so this would be when Ashton was much younger and he was still on milk, and he used to be on the little bottles of formula.
Right.
And instead of bringing bottles and bottles of it with us in our case or anything, what we would do is we would pay for it and order it for collection at the boots in the airport. So you would collect it once you're through everything.
Oh wow.
And then it's obviously your bags and everything weighed, so it's just a case of you've just got in everything. So same with nappies, everything. We would just order it directly to the boots at the airport, and then it just means you've just kind of got it there and then without having to worry about having it kind of crammed into your case and all that sort of stuff.
That's actually really smart.
So that's a top tip. That is a top tip.
I'll try to do a top tip once a week.
Yeah, we've always kind of tried to keep his sleep pattern as kind of similar as at home as possible, just to try and I think that's quite critical for his kind of mood and things like that as well. So we try and keep that as that's another not as top a tip as the boots thing, but that would be my kind of
Barry's top tip.
pence as
Barry's
well.
top
Yeah,
tips.
less top.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to be the same for Ashton. I think it's that way of, it's obviously, well, depending where you go, it can be a lot brighter in the mornings and it can still be quite light at night. But yeah, his routine has been relatively similar when we're abroad. But it is that way of still getting up very early in the morning while everyone else is sleeping, and by the time it gets to midway through the day, everyone's sunbathing, you're dying for your bed, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But
Just speaking of sunbathing, how is he with like kind of sun cream and stuff like that? Is that
well, the difficult thing is Ashton's always in and out of the water, so you're trying to reapply it as quick as possible, but then you just jump straight back in the water, so it's so difficult. So you are just trying to apply it as much as you can, but when he's just constantly, he spends nearly all day just in the water, just wanting to play over and over. And we bring all his toys with us, so all these little toys, and it'll literally be the full pool will just be full of lots of different characters, whether it's Peppa Pig characters, all of the chopping fruit and everything's in there. So I spend half my time having to put my hand down the filter, picking out Pluto from a filter and Oscar the Grouch and things, and try to pull them out. And so all of his all the toys, when we bring them home, they're all just completely different colours. So it's just it's, I think we pretty much bring our full house with us, and Ashton just dumps it into the pool.
it's just throws in the pool?
But yeah, sun cream wise is difficult, just to try and keep up with it when it's just constantly all about Brody.
He's okay with it, but it's a similar thing. He's in and out of the water constantly. I'm not as disciplined with it as what Katie is, so she's kind of usually chasing him and getting him, getting the cream reapplied and stuff like that for him to just jump in the pool 2 minutes later or whatever. He doesn't like wearing. He doesn't really like wearing sort of the sun hat things either, with the kind of thing at the back. So it's trying to. Trying to keep on top of him for all that. That'll be twice as difficult for you.
Yeah, that'd be a struggle for us. Again, as forementioned, family of gingers. But I mean, Elijah, like in a general sense, doesn't mind having sunscreen put on him. Obviously, because we tell him obviously sun cream. Obviously, like things are just kind of moisturising him. But hats is a no-go. Yeah. And which is weird because I constantly used to wear hats all the time. I still tend to wear a beanie even when it's roasting. Probably why I'm losing my hair as much as I am. But yeah, he definitely struggles to wear a hat. Like when school calls and says obviously like there's going to be a sunny day, make sure you're packing a hat for him. He just won't wear it. Yeah. We've never had to deal with like any severe sort of sunburns for him. Obviously, like the occasional like a little bit on the arms. Like last year we did Heads of Air, and it was a very, very sunny day, and there's no shade there at all, so it's trying to keep him like creamed up. but he's still got a little bit of a red tinge to his legs and stuff like that. The one good thing, obviously, like Elijah just lives in shorts when he can do, so he'd be living his life, obviously, just wearing just running around in a pair of shorts all day. But no, I think I've taken a lot from today. Obviously, I'm gleaming that the flights can't be that bad as long as you've got several people of your family to kind of bodyguard the whole time on the flight.
Yes.
So traveling in a herd seems to be the best way to do it. You're planning a holiday, or your whole family goes, "Oh yeah, I'm getting a holiday."
We can try and
Don't need pay for them.
no, of course not.
we can charter a flight for just the listeners, just a full
Just
full flight of
just
kids with additional needs.
ASN Dad Chat's community holiday.
World tour.
Love it. Soft play on an aeroplane, yeah. That'd be an interesting one. We did get a couple of stories from the dads in the community again, just with regards to their sort of antics, as it were, for flying. So there is a dad that told us he's currently on holiday, and with their kids, they enjoy doing swimming lessons, and one of the things that they do with that is they have the pool noodles. So it turned out that they bought this noodle for one of their kids, and it was put on the back of their younger child's buggy as they were going along to the pool, and the younger child took a huge bite out of the noodle as if it was just a beautiful crisp apple, and just started chewing and had it away in minutes.
What's so appetising about foam?
Reminds me of when I was a kid. I used to go to one of the biggest stories I remember getting told was whenever we went to the shops, my parents would buy a French stick.
Okay.
And I'd just rip open the top and start chewing away in the middle. But by the time they'd got to the till, they'd have to go buy another one because I'd just hollowed this huge not even the outside, just taking the soft bit of the.
Just put it back on the shelf then.
Put the lid back on. We're all good.
Sometimes wonder where the kids get it from.
One of the other things, one of the other dads had said that their young lad, he's a very particular choice of drink. He only drinks the purple fruit shoot. He says it's a lifestyle that this child has. It's not just a personality trait. And normally they stockpile these whenever they are preparing for the fruity apocalypse, as he's put it here. But they came for their first trip abroad, and suddenly were dealing with airport security and thought, no problem, we'll just bring a few for the journey. Cut to us trying to smuggle 3 200ml bottles through security in a world where limited to 100ml bottles, absolute criminal masterminds.
Can you order fruit shoots for collection from Boot?
I don't know.
Back down
Potentially. Who knows?
Well, that's
Got to be an option there.
They said that security, unsurprisingly, were not impressed. They confiscated them except for the one that their child had hidden in his pocket, like some sort of Capri Sun outlaw. I think they're mixing up the drinks here in the story. So now we're traumatised, slightly dealing with security still, and desperate on a mission to find more. We checked all the shops, no blackcurrants, not even a whisper of purple. At this point, I'm thinking this might be the holiday cancelled. We were boarding the plane, tensions were high, clutching onto his last fruit shoot like it was oxygen, and it was just about ran out. A miracle, the flight attendant had a purple fruit shoot, and that was the grace upon high.
There you go. That's when you can start your holiday then, as soon as you've got that win. But yeah, I think it is. It just shows it's difficult, especially if their kind of main need is liquid based. But I'm sure another thing for traveling abroad with kids with additional needs, I'm sure that if they do have a particularly restricted diet, you can also get a letter from your doctor to let you have additional luggage to take specific foods with you. So it could be a case of there is only a specific safe food, and you have to stockpile and bring a certain amount of that with you. I'm sure that there is a certain thing that you can do to make sure that you can actually bring that in addition to your your allowance, because it technically is classed as kind of like medicinal, because if that's the only thing that your child can eat.
Yeah.
So say again, something that they could potentially look into.
I think so, yeah. That makes sense.
And what we like to do every week on ASN Dad Chat is give a shout out to one of the services or locations that we have found beneficial for our kids, and somewhere we would recommend for others to try. And again, we're not affiliated or linked to any of these places, groups or charities, so we're just looking to highlight different places that hopefully your kids can enjoy as well. The one that we're looking to call it this week is Glasgow Groovers, who are a group of two, Siobhan and Mel, who are a combination of a Makaton tutor and a musician and singer. I know that yourself, Glyn,
I love the Groovers. Like, the two women are absolutely amazing. First time we came across them, they were just doing a small little group in a church in the Mearns, and we'd actually turned up late because we couldn't find where it was, and they just welcomed us in. Obviously, they were so nice to it, and we followed them along their journey, just going to like when they played little soft plays, and we've seen them a couple of times at Sporty Kids, and they're so good with the kids. Even if the kids are just running around and they're not listening, they still carry on their play. So professional, and they get involved. They learn all the kids' names, like part of the beginning of the song. Obviously, they do the Makaton saying hello as the kids, whatever kid's name, and they go through all the kids that are there, and they get involved in obviously people's lives, and they get to know you. So like.
Yeah, Siobhan and Mel are absolutely brilliant. I think you'll be hard to find another two kind of more welcoming people to have your kids in there. It's not just the kids that they make feel welcome, it's the adults as well. They make sure there's no anxiety there. They're brilliant, and in terms of Ashton, he absolutely loves it. He's learned from it. He loves to copy the signs that Siobhan does. You can't get him away from Mel's guitar as well. They're absolutely brilliant, and they do play in various different things. If you just keep an eye on their social media, but I know that they do have a concert coming up on the 9th of May, so definitely one that you should be checking out.
Absolutely, they are a hot commodity in that sort of scenario, so make sure if you are wanting to see them, you're getting your tickets.
I've never been to a Glasgow Groovers thing at all, but I've heard nothing but good things, so I'll check them out on the 9th of May.
Perfect. Okay, so I think what we'll do is we'll bring another successful episode to a close. Thank you to everyone watching, and we will talk to you on episode 9. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. See you later.
Thanks for listening. If you want to get involved or get in touch with us, you can find us on Facebook or Instagram under ASN Dad Chat.